The best way to play the Ancestral Guardian Barbarian. Disclaimer, I am not good at number crunching and min-maxing. I excel when it comes to role-playing, character concepts, and improv. This build will take some buy-in from your dungeon master, so talk to them before committing to this character concept. All that being said, let's get into the best way to play the Ancestral Guardian Barbarian.
Kavi, a small red kobold wearing rags, stands helplessly tied to a tree in the camp of her tribe's enemy. Bandits walk back and forth hauling her tribe's food and treasure. As the kobold tried to contain her rage, certain areas of her body began to glow red with ancient draconic runes. She took a deep breath. "Patience," she said to an unseen force. Slowly exhaling, she began to pull the energy back into herself. The kobold looked around the bustling camp of a dozen bandits, some sharpening weapons while others hauled sacks of food and supplies. Then she spotted him. The mad chieftain who stole everything from her. The runes on her body began to spark to life once again without warning. They began to cover Kavi's body like a flame overcoming brush. "I said patience," Kavi repeated with a deep breath. Fortunately, the flaming runes extinguished once more. The mad chieftain raised his arm and pulled a great axe from his back. The blade shone with a golden brilliance. The chieftain touched the axe and eyed it with a strange fascination. He looked enchanted by the weapon. "Hey, go lad, where you want them bodies?" said a bandit just outside the camp. The mad chieftain shook his head and put the great axe back on his back once more. He looked around and spotted the bandit, before looking around the open area as well. Pointing near Kavi, the chieftain spoke. "Right here will do just fine. Let's allow this fragile creature to see the end of her own filth." The chieftain merely got a grunt in reply. Kavi took short breaths trying to focus her mind and body. Once her temper was under control, she closed her eyes and tried to focus. Some time had passed and Kavi heard a thump in front of her. As she opened her eyes, she understood what the mad chieftain was saying. Right there, laid in front of her, were the bodies of her tribe. Rog the Bold, Asa the Swift, Mai the Protector. Warrior after warrior lay at Kavi's feet, all stripped of their weapons and valuables. Then, just as her scarlet draconic runes sparked to life, once more 3 bodies were laid at Kavi's feet. Raju, her mate, Hulin, her father, and Farah, her mother. Kavi did not speak. She only bowed her head in defeat. Her runes no longer glowed. "You see, my boys, a little break in spirits can be fun. Now, little one, where is the tomb of Kavalaith?" said the mad chieftain. Kavi did not speak. She closed her eyes and tried to cry in silence. "Oh, not in the mood to talk. Well, she's fine, lass. Boys, bring in the last one," said the chieftain. Kavi lifted her head and looked around. 2 bandits struggled to hold a kobold just a little larger than Kavi. Her brother, Hura the Shield, still lived. Kavi smiled and let the last tears burn away from her face. She lowered her head just slightly to hide her smile. "Now, I'm going to take a piece of this boy away for every single time that you refuse to answer my questions. Deal?" Kavi did not respond. She only took quick breaths in order to control herself. "How about this? I'll take his head off unless you tell me how to find the tomb." The mad chieftain pulled the axe from his back. The bandits pushed Hura to the ground. They held him, but Hura did not struggle. He only looked at his sister and mouthed the words, "Now." Kavi took in a deep breath and then laughed. She laughed louder and louder. The mad chieftain raising the ancient axe stopped and looked at Kavi. She continued to laugh, even louder and then louder. With each laugh, another rune sparked to life, quickly illuminating Kavi's whole body. The chieftain and all the bandits backed a few steps away and shielded their eyes from the light. Inside the blaze, the bandits heard the snapping of rope. A flash of light dashed at the mad chieftain. In a moment, 2 punches hit the chieftain in the gut and the jaw, sending him to the floor with his wind knocked out. The ancient great axe hit the ground. A large crimson arm reached out and grabbed the great axe. The blaze illuminating Kavi disappeared, and standing in her place was a 7-foot-tall dragonborn made of nothing but muscles and covered in glowing runes like embers. The dragonborn looked down at the axe and swung at the ground, striking just shy of the mad chieftain's neck. "How about this? I take off his head unless you all scatter and leave us be."
I don't know if this is the best way to play this subclass, to be honest, but I think it is the most cinematic way to play this barbarian. The main idea is that you're normally a kobold, a small, weak character who is the vessel body for spirits of their warrior ancestors. When the character loses control and rages, they release the spirit and protect those around them or destroy their enemies, but probably both. The basic idea is that of He-Man, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and the Hulk. The role-playing potential is amazing because you can use both the kobold and the spirit to overcome trials and learn along the way. With the kobold, you can learn how to protect others without the help of the spirit, and learn how to control their emotions. The spirit may be a bit more difficult because you don't have as much time with them, but you can still have it be an effective tool not only for the players but for the dungeon master as well. It could be a similar tool to the warlock's patron or a god for a cleric or paladin. My initial thoughts for this idea was of a kobold turning into a dragonborn, but you could definitely use it for a couple different races, like goblins into orcs or Kenku into Aarakocra. I love this whole idea because it turns the Barbarian into a more roleplay heavy class. Instead of being a single-minded tank and damage dealer that is essentially all they do, you can have this inner conflict of rage and overcoming the easy way out. I think this subclass is fantastic and definitely adds some depth to the Barbarian class. I really want to thank Jay over at Play Your Role. He is the voice of the short story in this video, and all his links will be down below. And I wanted to thank you all for coming into my shop today. Pick out something nice and come again.